So the first kits I'm going to pot up with you are the Hellebore Kits. Now we have lots of Hellebore Kits this season. You love them as much as I do. They're just the most beautiful little kind of delicate white flowers. They're the epitome of Christmas and of sort of winter. So we have the Hellebore and Twig kit, the Winter Hellebore kit, which is in the grey sort of beautiful pot. We have the Little Scalloped Hellebore kit, which is in this gorgeous sort of tall 10cm pot with the scalloped edging. We have also got the Hellebore and Twig Trio kit, which is in 3 of these gorgeous little terracotta pots and saucers. So I'm going to pot up one of them because it's basically the same across the board, so I don't bore you rigid, and then I can go through the sort of tips and tricks and how to care for them. And then you just replicate that depending on what kit you have. But obviously worth noting as well that in the bigger kits you have a slightly bigger hellebore, and in the smaller you have the little hellebores. This was fresh in yesterday, so it's all budded and just gorgeous and adorable. Okay, let's begin. So in your kit you will have your gravel, your compost, and your 2 different types of moss, your pot and your saucer, and your plant. So we start off by adding in the gravel. So you'll have your gravel in the paper bags. You just pour it all in. That just adds to the drainage so that those roots aren't sat in water for too long a time. And I'm just going to add in a sprinkle of compost. And this would be exactly the same on the other kits. You add in your gravel. So if you've got your trio, you just split that between the 3. Add in a little bit of compost on the bottom. Give your hellebore a good drink beforehand. And then simply take it out of its pot. Being careful of the little buds. Oh my goodness. It's not root bound. Being careful of the little buds that are around the base of this plant. It's coming. There we go. Oh, those roots. Beautiful. Okay. So I'm just going to pop that in on top. And where I want it is just slightly below the surface of the pot. I'm then going to add in more compost. I don't know where my little mini shovel has gone, so I'm using my hands, just to go around the sides of the plant. So I'll give it a little jiggle to make sure all that compost sort of goes down the side of the plant. So all those roots are getting this new nutrient-based compost. So you don't need loads in any of the kits, actually, to be fair. There we go. So that's just gone down either side, and now I've obviously created a mess like I always do. And that is basically it. So I'm just going to give it another kind of jiggle. Yeah, that's good. Okay. And now we're going to add in our moss. So we've got 2 different types of moss. We've got the flat moss and the sphagnum moss. So the sphagnum moss is the kind of like 2-tone, more kind of browny kind of textured moss. And then the flat moss is more of like the woodlandy one. So you will have more of the flat moss because that's sort of like the key to the base of your kit. So you just add that in little sections, again being really careful of those little buds that you'll see around the base. So that just goes on top of the compost. And then I'm just going to add little touches, honestly just tiny little touches, just to add a bit of difference in colour and tone of the sphagnum moss. Now I have forgotten to put on my bench your dry thyme and your birch twigs, so I will go and get those and be right back. Okay, so in your kit you will have your little bundle of dried thyme and birch twigs. I've got more here just so that you can kind of see them on camera. But these are just to finish off your kit. They just add a sort of a kind of rustic, natural texture. And yeah, in my opinion, I just think it finishes your kit off beautifully. So they don't need any water either. So they're all dried. So you'll just have a little bit of thyme, which you can just add. You can use secateurs or scissors, or you can just use your fingers because it's brittle, she says, not being able to do it. There we go. To sort of take little pieces off. And I like to kind of have it no higher really than the tallest flower, although your pots, your plants may be sort of more in bud anyway, so they will be lower down. But yeah, it's completely up to you how high you want to keep your thyme and your twigs, how sort of impactful you want them to be. So just simply pop those into the moss. Again, it doesn't need to reach the water of the compost. It's just to add that lovely texture and contrast. And it's a lovely kind of silvery kind of sage colour, so it really contrasts with the sort of deep green of the hellebore. And then I'm going to add in some birch twigs. And again, you'll have a little bundle of these, and you can just break them down into little sections. Again, have them as tall or as short as you want them. And some of them might have little catkins on, depending on when they come in. But they just add a lovely kind of different texture, different colour, different tone to your kits. And you can use as many or as little as you want. Okay, that's looking good. So in terms of looking after your hellebores, they are obviously outdoor plants that can be kept inside for the festive period. So for example, I would be keeping my hellebores nice and cool, or as cool as possible, you know, given the fact that we're probably all using central heating and whatnot. So as cool as possible, out of sort of direct sunlight. So don't pop them on a south-facing windowsill that's going to get really, really bright. And then just keep the soil damp. Don't waterlog it. So I would give them a nice drenching every sort of 3 days. So put them in a sink of water, put the saucer in, just put the whole thing in, fill the water up here, let it soak up for a couple of hours, then drain it off and then pop it back where you want it. Or alternatively, sort of water from around the base, making sure you're getting to the compost rather than just watering the moss. And yeah, just give it a really good drink and then leave it for a few days, maybe 3 days, and then water again. Your little white buds will start to rise and bloom. As they go over, again, completely normal, you can just cut them down, so deadhead them down near the base of the stem, obviously being careful of new little buds. So for example, on this one, this has got 3 buds on, it's got 2 buds on and 1 flower. So this flower will obviously go over first. I will take that flower head off and leave those 2 buds to bloom. Once those 2 buds have bloomed, I will then cut it down near the base of the plant. And then you will see there's lots of lovely little white buds down at the base, and they will then take the place. So that's about it. Keep it damp, as cool as possible, and water every sort of 3 days. And then once the season is finished, once your hellebore goes over indoors, you can then pop it in the garden and it should come back year after year. So there you have it. So that is your Hellebore Kits